All right, welcome back to Just Another Solar Podcast with Luke Beattie. That's me, Carl Jensen. How are you, Carl?
Coming to you from not so sunny Bairnsdale this week.
Wouldn't be the same without the weather report. Jess McPherson, g'day.
Hey, mate, how are we? We all strapped in and feeling good about all the changes going around?
There's a lot of changes, so we'll get to cover off some of that. And we've got a long weekend here in WA, and we're just discussing it. I have no idea why we've got a public holiday, but there you go. And industry legend. Actually, I was just looking at flights earlier on. So there's a flight. There's a flight leaving tonight, and I could fly back on Monday or Tuesday night. So watch this space. Potentially, I'll be on a plane in 4 hours' time. So, how are you, Nige?
I'm well, thanks. Good to be here. Nice to see everyone. Can't wait to get into it. Lots going on.
A lot going on, and it seems the Smart Energy Council is front and centre with all the big announcements, starting with John Grimes. So John Grimes has announced that in May he's not retiring from the industry. John's moving into the Renewable Energy Council Asia Pacific recap. So that's a big thing. Do you want to tell us about it, Nige?
Yeah. So the really short version is, for those who don't know, John's basically driven this organisation for the last 18 years, almost single-handedly. You know, I am in awe of what he's done. I knew John before I came in, and after 6 months, my respect just goes up and up and up. Actually, it's quite profound, the impact that he's had and how committed he is to the mission and of deploying renewables around the world and solving the climate crisis. And he talks about it with such passion. And so after 18 years, he's finally found himself in a position where he feels like it's okay for him to move on to his next mission, because SEC in Australia, the Smart Energy Council in Australia, is in a really good place. We're strong, we're healthy, we've got a great team. And so, he's off to the next mission, and he's going to get Recap's already up and running. He's a sort of founding director of that, and what Recap is going to do is kind of support the Smart Energy Council's international expansion, which has been going on for some years. So it's kind of like an Asia Pacific arm of the Smart Energy Council, which is just wonderful, because there's a lot of work in that, and having a base in the Asia Pacific will be really, really valuable. But he's also been, just quietly tapped on the shoulder by, some really, really important and big organisations around the world to bring his expertise more globally. And so John's gone, right, now I can go and have an impact on more of the world, so I'm going to go do that. And so it's very, very sad for everybody to lose him at the helm of the Smart Energy Council after he's had such a massive impact, but we're all super excited for him, and we're super excited for the change.
Big shoes to fill there, Nige.
Whoa.
Very, very big shoes.
One of our greatest podcast guests. So we've had him on twice, and he's always bouncing off the walls, energised and funny, full of enthusiasm, and that enthusiasm rubs off on everyone around him. He's a great leader.
He's a giant.
He's an absolute giant. He's an absolute giant. And like everyone, right? Sometimes, you go, oh, why did he do that? Or why did he say that? But when you actually get to know what's driving him and what motivates him and why he's doing stuff, you go, oh man, it makes heaps of sense. I'll commit right now to at least getting him on the podcast, right? And for those of you who don't know, the gala dinner in May around the Smart Energy Conference and Exhibition will be John's farewell. So that is going to be the party of the year, I suspect, because there is going to be a stellar VIP guest list at that. And
it was such a good night last year.
Yeah.
Last year was getting some tickets, Nige?
Excellent.
This year is going to be bigger. What?
Are you getting
How are
some
they going to
tickets?
top Dr. Carl hosting, though?
Oh, don't you worry. Don't you worry. Our team's all over it. We've got some great ideas flowing, actually, for what the night's going to look like. I'm in deep, very, very deep around the conference and exhibition now, and we're going to make that a great night. So buy a table or a seat at minimum to the gala right now before they're sold out, because that is going to be a night of nights.
And just to acknowledge John as well, the most notable thing about John Grimes is that he operates in political circles, in the media. And one of my favourites was his address to the National Press Club last year, where
that was great.
he gave a professional address. And then during the Q&A, there was a bit of a troll in there that had a go at him. And John gave one of the best smackdowns I've seen. But John operates in those circles. But whenever there's been a crisis for solar businesses, installers, John has rolled the sleeves up and been front and centre, pushing for change, advocating for industry. So thanks, John, for everything you've done for the industry. Yeah. And a quick mention as well, Nige, you mentioned the Gala Night and the Smart Energy Conference. There was another announcement this week about a change at the conference.
Indeed. It's been a big week for announcements. It was a bit of a frenzy for us. But the short version is our event has now grown to, I think we're looking at maybe 12,000 people this year. So it is a really, really big show. It's a successful show. It's a unique show in the content that we deliver and the streams and particularly the speakers that we managed to attract to that show, as well as, of course, a fantastic exhibition and a whole bunch of great stuff around the expo in terms of events. As a result of that, of it growing to be a Leviathan, and again, trust me, I'm in so deep on this now, I'm going, oh my goodness, I thought I knew how to run an event. When you get to a 12,000 person event with 180 speakers and 8 conference halls and 2 micro theatres and a bunch of exhibitors, it is epic. It is epic. And
average guy'd have trouble, Nige, but you'd be fine.
Well, the point is, in terms of the resources for the Smart Energy Council, do we want them advocating and doing the groundwork, or do we want them being a conference organisation?
Exactly, mate.
And that's a specialisation. I know that Terrapin, who are going to be administering that now, they've been running the Solar and Storage Live in Queensland, which in a few years has grown quite a professional outfit. So
they've got Solar and Storage Lives events all around the world now, in fact. And so some of them are epic. And, having met the team, they are incredibly dedicated and committed. Their solar show portfolio is huge. So they really know what they're doing, and in the sort of first handover meeting, it was great because they went, oh yeah, we get it, and you do it this way, and we do it that way, and blah blah blah, and we're so excited because your show is so great. It's so great. They were just, their staff were.
That's a pat on the back for you, Nige.
Not me. I wouldn't take any credit for that, mate. That's the team who built it.
Luke, you're speaking at that storage conference in a couple of weeks.
Solar and Storage Live. Yep, up in Queensland, 18th and 19th of March. So moving it along, we do need to keep it rolling, but we're taking that as a big positive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Still Smart Energy Council conference and exhibition, still programs still managed by us, speakers still managed by us, members still get benefit and extra special treatment. So nothing really is going to change except that Terrapin will be doing this fantastic job in the back end of pulling it all together for everyone. Yep. So we're pumped.
Awesome. And moving it along, an acknowledgement to our generous sponsors, Goodwe. So Goodwe are on board as our sponsor, and their big news is that their 3-phase ESA all-in-one has just been CEC approved, which means, so that's from 5 to 30 kilowatts of inverter capacity, and then you can do 5 kilowatt hours up to 54 kilowatt hours per stack, and you can put 2 of those stacks there. So it's a modular one, it's an upgradable one, and now really that's really the challenge in space now. A lot of manufacturers moving towards that 3-phase whole of home backup.
Yeah, and it's a big demand, the point in the market, I feel. Or the people who really want it, really want it. So,
Jesse, you're on the real cutting edge of this stuff. Are you
in the trenches, mate?
In the trenches. As electrification demand grows, right, with electrification, are you seeing that drive more of the market into multi-phase applications compared to, what was the case in the past?
It's a really interesting question. I don't at this point recommend people going to 3-phase for solar and battery, aside from very, very specific, very, very specific circumstances. If you're going to do a couple of things, I think it makes it worthwhile, because you've got quite a bit of muck around and network charges. And I think what makes it quite tricky is, especially somebody who's that way inclined and wants to electrify, A, they probably want stuff that's really efficient. So single phase can probably do them all right. But B, they might have a system already, and that makes it really tricky. Like it already makes it tricky at the best of times. But, if they've got a good, recently installed, single phase system already, especially in SA, the rules are pretty complicated on multi-phase sites. But I think Australia-wide, there's bits and bobs in there. So yeah, I would say, like, if you're going to do your stovetop and your air conditioner and you want to charge your car really fast and blah, 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 once you've got a few points, then yeah, you sort of, now it's worthwhile doing.
So moving on from a product that's come in, the Goodwee ESA 3-phase all-in-one, to a product or a brand that's pulling out, Jess.
Yeah. SMA, absolute giant. I say that like it's almost like I guess because of my timeline in the industry, like it was sort of the big thing before I came in. But my mum still has an SMA, a Sunny Boy inverter going at her place, going strong. It's been there longer than she has. Like they're powerhouses. They're really good pieces of kit. SMA definitely were on the forefront for a really, really long time, and I think a bit of credit.
Market leader, but by a mile, market leader by.
Absolutely.
I want to hear Luke's story. Luke bought a house with SMA people. So at the end of the day, when Luke and I were first working for Apollo Energy, we were unwrapping air freight, we were unloading 40-foot containers, and between Luke and I, we shifted thousands of SMA.
We had the wall of SMA, Carl.
Yeah.
Here's a fact: when SMA were first coming into the market, it was BP Solar who actually helped bring them in because of our strong German connections in the late 90s. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, the SMA service centre was at BP. My old buddy Pete was out the back doing service on SMA inverters, and pretty much all of it came through BP. So yeah, they're absolute pioneer, in fact, in solar in Australia, and still actually have one of the largest installed capacities. That might have changed, but they had a really huge installed capacity.
Yeah, Matty Wilkins posted a photo of maybe 15, 20, 25,000 TLs on a wall at whatever the facility was, and that image is replicated over thousands of industrial sites across Australia. That's an absolute workhorse. It's still going. A great product.
And credit to the Sunny Island as well, which is like a product that was like, in an off-grid situation when you really need to rely on a piece of kit. Like, proper applause to them for everything they've done over the years. And it is a bit sad to see them pulling out. I mean, they're going to keep supporting their product, of course, which is good.
So, Carl, you also attended the first Southwell Solar Installer Night during the week. How was that?
I did. Absolutely loved it. Pat ran a great event. Bryn Folletta won an award for the longest accreditation of any of the installers that were there, which was great.
No way. Wow.
And that's my dad in the background.
Hey, Damien.
And let's see, another one of my favourites, we got to talk about circuit breakers. So that's always a winner. There was some great prizes from Goodwee. They gave away a PlayStation and some training vouchers and so on and so forth. 140 people turned up at that event, and 140 people learned something. So that was great.
Well done, Pat and Joe. I know a lot of work went into it. So
and I think it was their anniversary as well. So
it was.
It's good to see that they celebrated well.
Yeah.
Okay, and one last bit of news before we bring our guest in is that there are new battery photo rules for installers coming in from the 1st of March.
Yep.
So from the 1st of March, they'll require geotagged timestamp photos of safety labelling to support STC claims. This includes meter box emergency labels, shutdown signage, battery hazard warnings, and it must be captured during the installation, not afterwards. So if you don't get this right, it could impact on your ability to claim STCs. The reason this came about is that incorrect or missing labels is a major compliance gap, and one of the biggest reasons people have to go back to site. So that's top to bottom, I suppose, that the wholesalers, the retailers, installers need to make sure that you're across the labelling requirements and you're doing it. And the other interesting thing is that the CER is moving towards AI-based photo assessments, meaning that the checks won't sit in a folder and be random. They're going to use AI to check all the compliance, which means in terms of the photo vetting, I'd say that every single one's going to go through that now. So make sure you're across the changes and complying with them from the 1st of March.
Solar Quotes did an article yesterday, 65% of installs in Victoria, non-compliant.
Yep, that's right. The statistics are pretty full on. May I make a suggestion on this issue, because installers really need to stay abreast of all these changes. There is an opportunity next week, actually, starting in Adelaide on the 3rd, when the Smart Energy Council Smart Installer Roadshow comes to town. We're doing Adelaide on the 3rd, Melbourne on the 5th, Brisbane on the 10th, and Newcastle on the 12th. And we've actually got 2 special features on this very issue. We'll be doing an update on the battery labelling stuff, and actually got a couple of presentations from people who've innovated on this labelling to try and solve that. And then, if you want a networking event rather than the CPD training event, the Power Circle's on over lunch. So, Jess, I think I put you on the VIP list.
That's
because
nice
you're my
of
favourite podcast.
I did pay for a ticket though, Nige, so I don't know
bless
if...
you. Well, you can bring a second.
Do I get a refund on my
ticket?
ticket?
Bring a second. Bring a second.
Actually, Pat did mention at the Installer Night training, he said it's a great idea to put the labels on as you go rather than at the end as an afterthought. And another thing he mentioned was, if we've got a system that's already existing and you add a battery, you own the labelling for that board. It's not like you need to add the labels for the battery. You own the whole board. You have to fix it up. You have to throw away the labels that aren't compliant anymore, like the red ones. They're out the window. We need to update.
Why?
Because we've changed the standard.
Go look at Pat's course about what to do for battery labelling. That'll tell you everything you need to know.
But he showed plenty of photos of some terrible jobs, and you just go, wow, I can't believe that we're doing this.
Will the smart energy events be covering circuit breakers? The question would all like to know.
Otherwise, Carl's not going.
Actually, yes. You know why? Because when you dig in, when you look at the reason people fail audits, as Carl said, the vast majority are around labelling, right? And that's a fail, but you can usually leave the system on, but you've got to go back and rectify it. It's still a cost. You don't want to have that happen, so get it sorted. But when you go to the actually unsafe ones and you look at the primary reasons why they were deemed unsafe, RCDs, or the lack of upgrading to RCDs in the appropriate applications, was huge. So circuit breakers are front and center once again. And secondly, it was around labelling of and having RCDs on backup circuits and stuff like that. So that kind of stuff we will totally be touching on. Part of my update for people who attend the Smart Installer Roadshow is actually around some of those changes as well.
Have you got Sandy on those roadshows, Nige?
No, we've got Jeff Bragg.
Jeff Bragg, Sandy Atkins, both fantastic presenters.
Both fantastic.
It's great watching Sandy present. Here's the things that you shouldn't do, and then look out into the audience to see a whole lot of faces go, oh, shit. We've been making a lot of fuck-ups.
Back to the AI image checks. Like that technology, AI gets a lot of shit, right? For what it's good at and what it's bad at. AI is really good at image recognition. Like the earlier applications of it, in like cancer research in SA, and I don't know if elsewhere, but they use it for like phone, like when you're driving, if you're on your phone, detection and stuff like that. It's incredibly accurate. So not that people should be trying to push and get past the rules. And obviously, like, it's a massive cost to your business if you have to keep sending people back to jobs because it wasn't done right the first time. Aside from all of that, like I would imagine it would be incredibly effective.
So another reminder to get it right. Now, today's guest is one I've been hoping to get on the podcast for quite a while now, for a few years, and every time I see him, I mention it, and we finally got him on. So Daniel Lanzetta is the CEO of Smart Energy Answers, a really, really good business out of New South Wales, so we'll get to hear about that. One of the interesting things I learnt about Dan doing my LinkedIn search is that He is a computer engineer and has a master's in electronic engineering. So for a CEO who's working in a very technical industry, selecting products, promoting products, I found that was really interesting. And we'll find out more about you shortly, but welcome to the podcast, Dan.
Thank you for the warm introduction, Luke. Buongiorno to everyone.
Dan, it's always great to see you at the trade shows, mate. You're the first person that always comes up and says g'day. So welcome on the podcast today. Good to see you.
Thank you. And Luke, when you called me a couple of weeks ago, I went online and check your the different podcasts that you've done over the last few years, and I realized you ran out of cool people to invite, and that's why you called me, mate.
Well, you listened and you still jumped on, mate. So I mean,
it's quite an honor roll though. Like I've scrolled through it recently and just shake my head at the quality of guests that we've had on. And no, mate, you're more than worthy of being on this podcast.
Beside jokes, I'm very grateful. Thank you for the invite and the warm introduction. And yes, I have a bachelor degree in computer science and a master in electronic and automation back in Italy and Spain. Yeah, a few years back.
Well, tell us about that. So you came from Italy originally, and you're based in New South Wales. So how did you get there?
Yeah, we're here in Castle Hill, Sydney. That's where our headquarters is. Mad Energy Answers, established in 2017, been CEO since 2021. Now I'm the sole director of the business. We've been leading the transition to 100% renewable energy. That's the goal. Personally, I moved to Australia in 2011. So as a young engineer working in consulting in Italy, I was working for Deloitte as a business analyst. But really, the job was an Excel monkey, basically on Excel spreadsheets. And back in the days, we didn't have AI and all this, so it was all manual work in Excel and pretty tedious and boring tasks. And economics, politics, everything was going pear-shaped in Europe and in Italy specifically, the southern hemisphere of Europe. So I decided to quit everything and I look at the world map and say, okay, that's the furthest away I can go to. And I picked Australia.
Like span a globe and just pointed and hope for the best.
Span it and, it's like, okay, that's the opposite side. That's where I go. I heard about kangaroos and koalas and came here on a working holiday visa. My first year was, traveling all around as a backpacker, doing hospitality work and, all kind of jobs. I actually work in the rural Queensland, in the Atherton Tablands.
What were you doing up there?
Cairns. I was doing some farm work.
Yeah, right. What did that involve?
I was working in a banana plantation, humping bananas. When that was the year after we had the Brisbane floods and the tornado. What was it? The tsunami that inundated all the plantation farms. So there was a shortage. They were like $80 a kilos. Bananas, limes, mangoes. I did it all.
So mangoes to solar, right?
Yeah, how did you get there?
So if you do this kind of work in rural Australia, you can extend your visa for an additional year.
Yep.
The first year was problematic to get a job simply because everyone will treat you as a backpacker and you don't have experience in the field and basically it was tough. So I just started from scratch, always being pretty humble in that sense. And the second year was lucky enough to find a job in a call center. There was a government efficiency program for low income households. I was basically calling people in Italian and Spanish, telling them the government was giving them free energy efficiency appliances, and we would send a technician to install it. And it was hard because of my language skills at the time, not because of my resume and degrees. So that went really well, and from there I switched. That company had a solar division, so I went to the solar side of things as an appointment setter, and I loved it. I started to make sales on the phone when there was the big feed-in tariff drop from 60 cents to 20 cents. I was working, these days we were working up until 11:30, 12 a.m. Because the change was imminent.
Yep.
A lot of pizzas sold on that night, right?
It was crazy. Yeah, we had pizzas at the office.
Yeah.
And I remember basically I was working, the company was called Mark Group. And, it was a very big establishment at the time. UK company came to Australia and, became a large operator. But I remember I called this guy, he was in bed. And I told him, hey, mate, so sorry, but, you put your interest here and the rebate is dropping at 12. What do you want to do? And he got out of bed and signed up for a 5 kilowatt system at the time. We put the application through before the deadline.
Dare I say, if you called me at that time and tried to sell me something, you'd probably get a different response. But there you go. So you were selling, then you were actively selling with Mark Group?
Yeah, basically from appointment setters, they switched me to telesales, and then from telesales, they gave me a car, and I became energy consultants, door to door, on warm leads, people that were interested in solar, and basically travel all the way around Sydney, Central Coast, Newcastle, Wollongong, personally I sold more than 2,500 systems to families in Sydney over a span of 4.5 years.
Yeah, wow.
Beautiful work, man.
Yeah, and I loved it. I love it. Back in the days when it was more difficult to sell on the phone, and at the time there was more skepticism about the industry, about the Chinese-made products. SMA, Fronius were a big thing. We mentioned SMA earlier, and we would sell the premium package, SunPower, Fronius, $15,000 for a 4.5 kilowatt system at the time.
Yeah, wow. Just quickly, Dan, just to get your views on SMA. You were in the background there while we had that discussion. What are your thoughts on that?
Nigel mentioned the BP SMAs, and I've seen some of them in the world, not the classic red, but green and yellow with BP on top. So they still work. Some of them still work after 15 years. So it was definitely a powerhouse and incredible technology for the time. It's sad to see them leaving.
It is.
I think the market has shifted dramatically over the last 5-6 years. Specifically, Australia is not skeptical anymore.
Well, SMA have been manufacturing in China for a while now as well. That was a big shift for them and their place in the market.
They did the shift, but then they purchased Solar, they acquired Solar, and then they pulled out and then closed it there and went back to Germany. So there was maybe some mix-up with strategic decisions there, and they lost big times against Sungrow. I think over the last 5 years, they really became a powerhouse in that sense, a robust unit, fully made in Asia, and very cost effective.
I heard that they pulled out because Reagan Hanks, who we all know really well, she left and went to Goodwe, our sponsor. She's an excellent salesperson. If anyone can sell an inverter, it's Reagan. She's excellent.
She's a great presenter.
Yeah, fantastic presenter.
Yeah, she's an awesome presenter.
Albert Smart, he's having a baby soon. So he was put in for some leave, and all of a sudden there's no one left, and they're like, we're done.
Wow. Well, I know Reagan well. She's definitely incredible, also pioneer in the industry. And it said SMA is leaving. But there's been this sort of sentiment in the market from people that have been there and seen the shift. It was basically just a matter of months or days, because I come across quotes from competitors all the time, and I haven't seen SMA including a quote for the last probably 1.5 years, to be honest.
And the Chinese technology has just streamed ahead, right? Like it's no longer considered the cheap and cheerful. You look at the actual tech and what they're doing. There was a gap for a while there from the Chinese-made inverters to the European-made ones. So your Fronius, SMA, ABB at the time, or FEMA, or whichever Power One Aurora, whichever hat they were wearing. But that gap closed, and now you look at how quickly it's streaming ahead.
Yeah, back in the days, look, absolutely. Aurora, Italian-made inverter, was really proud of selling that inverter back in the days. Fronius, SMA, and every time I was visiting customers, they will say, "Oh, as long as it's not from China, I'm okay with it." You know, that was the objection to overcome straight off. But that's not the case anymore. I think for the last 5 years, we've seen the transition. I personally go to China at least twice a year, for the last few years, and I've seen the ICO factories, SIG Energy factories, Trina, and it's they're way ahead in terms of automation, quality control, and the scale and the ability of reducing the costs dramatically compared to Europe is unbeatable.
So Dan, is it the end of the road for non-Chinese inverters? Is that what you're saying? You know, we've got some good non-Chinese inverters that have been very, very strong in Australia. You know,
Fronius.
Yeah.
Fronius, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Look, I'll make a comparison with the panel market. We've seen, we were one of the top 3 LG dealers between 2018, 2021, and LG pulled out of the market, and then after LG, Q cells followed. Just a year after, and we've seen in specifically in Australia that panels that are not made in China were not as competitive anymore.
Yeah, REC would be probably the only bastion, and they certainly don't have the presence that they did in years gone past.
Correct. I'm surprised, with all due respect for REC, I'm surprised that they still, still have a presence in Australia and operate in Australia. Great brand, great panel. But when we compare it...
Oh, and I guess we'll shout out Tindo because obviously... yeah, please continue, sorry.
Yeah, Tindo, a great product as well. Yeah, Australian made. So we've seen that shift from Korean made and, SunPower as well, exiting in the US and now becoming TCL. So the market has shifted, and in the inverter space, we've seen Fronius also losing a lot of the market share over the last 3-4 years, and specifically, I believe in the last year and a half, since batteries have become the main thing. There is no system that Smart Energy Answer sells today that doesn't have a battery. The fact that Fronius didn't have a all-in-one solution, a really strong battery offer to pair with Fronius inverters, I think that hurt them.
To be fair, they didn't have 10,000 fucking recalls either, Dan.
That's very true.
And coming back to the snap inverters, you say the same thing that we were saying about SMA. There's so many snap inverters. 10 years ago, 2016, Fronius represented over 30% of the residential inverter installs. And the only thing we've seen that's comparable to that is in the last couple of years, of course, SIG Energy, which also represents over 30% of residential battery installs.
Well, to sneak in a dig at Carl, I would say it's a massive downgrade to replace a Fronius snap inverter with a system that's still working well with a DC coupled battery solution. No global peak management software. No repairable, inverter for the hardest.
He's not taking the bait, Jess. No, he's not taking the bait.
I actually would like to hear. I would like to hear a bit from Dan, from you, because Fronius obviously, I don't want to harp too much on about it, but I agree. I think it's a bit disappointing that it can't be something that we talk about or recommend as much as we maybe used to. I personally find it really hard to recommend based on the battery sizing for reservoir in particular. BYD is a bit better, but how do you guys find it? Is it something that's in your range at this point?
Jess, we have over 2,000 snap inverters in our fleet, and Fronius was our primary inverter when the company started in 2017. Up until probably 2021. At that point, we, as an organization, we switched to SunGrow after, testing the product, Sungrow had a bad history prior to re-entering the market with the new range of inverters. But they, after testing them and they proved to be really, really, let's say, competitive on the pricing side, but also
here. Yeah, definitely.
solid units that didn't fail, and that's the reality when it came to advising the best solution to customers, homeowners, and trying to be competitive in an industry that you have other retailers or
It's substantially cheaper though, right, Dan?
yeah, correct. So you got to try to be competitive by offering what you believe is the best value for money for your clients, and that's what we always try to do. It's Man Energy Answers. We always kept our eyes open on the new technologies coming and new products, and we did use GoodWe for a while as well as inverters. Very solid units. We love them.
We're comparing a 5 kilowatt Sungrow to a Fronius. It's double the price, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And at the end of the day, that means that you're either in the game or you're $1,000 more expensive, and you've got to put in a bit of effort to sell that extra $1,000 at a 6.6 kilowatt level, which when the competition's fierce, it's hard.
It's so true, isn't it? And it's really interesting. I've had 3 conversations this week about companies that had previously been really, really big in the Australian market, and those 3 companies who were late with exceptional battery products, right? If you were late with an exceptional battery product, you really have your work cut out for you, because not only did you need to be there to ride the wave of the early stuff that we've seen over the last 8 months, and to get some advantage out of some scale and volume and stuff, and 3 companies, and Fronius, we all know, took a little while to get ramped up to that. But the other part of it is you also have to, it's really now a game around the smarts that goes around that, right? Do you have the VPP connectivity? Do you have the CSIP?
Charge from the grid, time of use. Yeah.
Oh, look, hey, Fronius has led the way there, mate. Full shout out to Rod Dewar there, who's in charge of that part with Fronius. So he's Fronius is always the first on the list for approved products in every state, and CSIP people have always commented that Fronius works and a lot of other stuff doesn't.
And plenty of people have rushed and gotten it wrong, right? We've seen a lot of people rush and mess it up.
I could. That's a really good comment, Carl. Just because they really have been on the cutting edge of all of this stuff for decades, right? They've always wanted to lead with that technical capability to be able to get what needs to be done, but also be a really robust and reliable product. And I'm interested in Dan's view, because really what's held them back, along with these 2 other companies, and I won't mention their names, but there's a couple of other companies who've also suffered quite a lot as a consequence of not having batteries ready or in enough volume to be able to take advantage of this. Is that a redeemable position? When you've got the expertise and the skill and the capability and the track record of companies like Fronius and like some of the others that are out there, if you can get the battery back into the market now at a competitive enough price, I mean, you clearly can't be double anymore, right? You just can't. It's just, you're not going to get the scale. But is there still an opportunity for those really innovative, heavily engineering, advanced products like Fronius to reposition themselves?
That's a very good question, Nigel, and I believe that is extremely challenging to do so. There are several reasons for that, but the first barrier would be to reacquire the customers as us, as retailers, installers,
right?
Getting all of us back with a very aggressive commercial offer, because we all know, as a retailer and installer, we don't want to do too many products. Okay, so we want to stick to 2-3 product max. 2 maybe inverters and now it's inverters and battery solutions, and 2 panels max. The moment you start to do too many things, then you don't specialize. You start to have to deal with multiple tech support, multiple platforms for online monitoring, and you dilute your quality of installation because your installers need to switch always from one product to another. So I think if there is a retailer that has already picked their products, they horses to ride. In this race that's become, the solar industry now, let's call it battery industry. In this race, it's very difficult to jump off the horse and start the race with another product when you're too busy. You're too busy to consider even the transition. Okay, so.
But you're constantly vetting what's out there still?
We are constantly vetting, and we were very lucky and blessed that we jumped onto the SIG Energy bandwagon back in November 2024.
How many have you installed? I saw some milestone recently.
Yeah, we have over 500 units now installed. It's about 530 something at the moment. So it's a considerable fleet, and we've seen the success. We basically seen how they managed to do so.
How many of those do you have to change, Dan?
Yeah, I mean that's obviously the recall is one aspect, right? But I want to talk first about the innovation that we talk about how other brands that were previously market leaders in Australia, they didn't adapt or innovate fast enough, right? So SIG Energy was the first company that came with a full three-phase solution that really suited a wide range of homeowners. I mean, Jess, I don't know about South Australia, but in Sydney, more than 50% of clients we speak to, they have three-phase. Large homes, three-phase power, and all new homes are built with three-phase.
We wouldn't be 50%, but I feel like there are other products out there before SIG that are good, like good three-phase solutions.
Sungrow
is a great three-phase solution. Look, credit where credit's due.
Do we mention that Goodwe now has CC listing for the three-phase all-in-one ESA? And I'm just going to throw to a message from our sponsors.
Hey solar retailers, the Goodwe Rewards platform is back with $20 million in rewards available for you. Claim on every 5 and 8 kilowatt hour ESA battery module or ESA 30 kilowatt 60 kilowatt hour unit purchased from your distributor. Redeem your rewards on anything in our online catalogue, including Visa gift cards. Record, submit, get rewarded. Visit goodwerewards.com.au now.
Thanks so much to Goodwe, and I mean, one of the things that's great about our sponsor of this podcast, Goodwe, is that they've got stock, right, which is a challenge for everybody right now. Everyone's running like crazy until May 1st, and so, those new three-phase Goodwe units, they've got them in stock now too.
Now, Dan, do you want to tell us more about how you see Australia's renewable transition? So you're obviously there on the front line. In fact, first, what I might do is invite you to tell us more about Smart Energy Answers. So the business itself, your demographic, and how you approach the market.
Smart Energy Answers, founded in 2017 and almost 9 years of operations in August. We specialize in solar and battery EV charging installations for homes and businesses. Just recently, our focus has been 90% towards households due to the federal battery rebate. The business is based in Sydney, Castle Hill, but we operate in ACT and Victoria as well. It's about 30% of the business, 50 employees, about 35 mil turnover. So it's a mature business. And we feel very blessed that we were in the right place at the right moment when this rebate was announced last April, because it turbocharged the business and we can do more for everyone.
I saw a video you did with Marcus Lambert, and that was to do the first install of the battery scheme. I think it stayed up till midnight and commissioned a system. So that was pretty entertaining. Yeah.
Correct. correct. Yes.
And hasn't Marcus more recently published another video that you can buy stuff, half the price that's just as good? Potentially
I
wasn't the
think
best brand ambassador.
you're referring to the ESY Sun Home
Yeah,
installation.
yeah.
Yeah, so he had an investment property with some tenants that were struggling with inflation and basically retirees
Out of the
that
goodness
were
of his
sharing
heart.
this investment property, and he has decided to install a budget battery for them to reduce their electricity cost, and he picked ESY Sun Home as a battery, and we installed it for him.
How do you feel, Dan, about the relationship between? I mean, of course, May 1st looming. This is becoming a bit less relevant, but at least at the moment, how things sit for the cheaper batteries, or especially for the bigger sizes, are way more incentivized than even your mid-range. Even your sort of in that middle of the road kind of product. How do you feel about it?
I see some crazy offers every day. Every time I open my Instagram.
Firm handshake for 50 kilowatt hours. Yeah.
I won't mention names, but there is some crazy stuff out there here in Sydney for $399 for 50 kilowatt hours.
Yeah.
And it's like everything. We always had these sort of crazy offers, right? That we have to always battle with when customers come to us and say, hey, can you match this price? Oh, what do you think about this? And, we got 12 sales consultants here, and basically my short version on how to overcome this objection is have an honest chat with the customer and ask them, do you believe in Santa Claus? If so, then go ahead with it. If you believe in Santa Claus, then you're welcome to go for this solution.
Eddie likes to say, if they're a gambler, good luck to them.
It's we've seen it all, and with the federal battery rebate, those companies that we call fly-by-nighters just advertising, sales and marketing company advertising these crazy deals, and there is no operations, no office, nothing behind it. They multiply like mushrooms, and like they multiply, they will die. They will die within the next 6 months, and what would be left is thousands of non-compliant systems and faulty systems that customers will have to deal with.
A tale as old as time.
Don't eat the Wellington pie.
I've got one for you, Dan. It's not the mushrooms.
That's right.
But mushrooms grow in the dark, right? So that's ideal for a battery that doesn't work. But I reckon all of these people that have bought 40 and 50 kilowatt hour batteries, it'll be like flying into Amsterdam at night. If anyone's ever done that, the whole countryside, there's thousands and thousands of acres that you see lit up under lights in greenhouses, and they're growing Europe's food there. And I think that if you had a 40 kilowatt hour battery and you could only use 10, because that's what most people can use, then you could put 30 kilowatt hours into a few grow lights and you could grow some kick-ass tomatoes. You really could. So I'm going to go into that business, Carl's Hydroponics.
Carl's Hydroponics.
Hell yeah.
Bitcoin mining.
The dump where you're putting all the batteries that we talked about.
Yeah. Well, that's a side business, Nige.
I didn't notice it when we went to Amsterdam, Carl.
I did, definitely. We flew into Amsterdam. Yeah, absolutely. Look out the window and it's just a sea of greenhouses lit up at night. It's amazing.
Can I say something, Carl? You mentioned the bigger batteries, right? I don't believe that all the solutions that have been sold with the larger batteries are bad, okay? The problem is when you find these specials with the 48, 50 kilowatt hours with the 5 kilowatt single phase inverter that's not VPP compatible.
Has to be VPP compatible, right? In order to participate, it has to be VPP compatible.
Yeah, but VPP compatible is such a low bar. In terms of how it contributes on one of those programs, it's like, well, we ticked the box.
All of those programs suck anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean...
What's your take, Dan? Tell us about VPPs.
With all due respect, we partner with Origin and Amber on the VPP side, and we have hundreds of customers with larger batteries and Amber with the proper size inverter that's able to dispatch a good amount of energy in short intervals. They're making money. So when we talk about energy independence, For me, it's a great wording. You know, our mission is to empower homeowners and businesses to acquire energy independence, right? It's on our website. But we're going one step further, which is actually empower households not only to eliminate their bills, but making money. And this is possible in New South Wales, especially with AMBA, that allows you to access wholesale market prices and to dump a lot of energy when the electricity price spikes.
Look, those systems aren't cheap though, Dan. What's a 25 kilowatt inverter and a 48 kilowatt hour stack worth?
Yeah, you're looking at around 30k mark with the rebates.
So 30k,
so they're not cheap.
30k to take that 30 grand out of your mortgage. That's got to pay you.
Get the napkins out, guys. Carl's doing math.
That's got to pay you $15 a day to pay back that investment out of your mortgage. So I don't see anyone making $15 a day out of 48 kilowatt hours.
If they were strictly using it for that purpose, Carl,
Sure.
I'll show you some screenshots. Are actually making some days over $40. It's not every day, but you got days you make $5, days you make $7, days you make $50, and I have customers that made over $200 in a day. And it's specifically, to be honest, it's specifically to New South Wales where we have a lot of volatility and spikes. So I'm not sure about other states. Victoria is not as good.
Just had a couple of big kick-ass batteries come online in New South Wales, though. Yeah, you've had the Waratah super battery at 1.6 gigawatt hours. There's a Tesla big battery that caught fire. Was that one in New South Wales that they fixed, Nige?
Don't know. We had a transformer blow up recently as well.
The one with the transformers that isn't running at full capacity yet? Yeah, there's that one.
That's the one. I've got a question for you, Dan, just generally on this VPP stuff. We've talked about different stats, and I hear a lot of different stats about what proportion of new customers, put aside your sort of legacy customers. I mean, I know you're probably similar to lots of companies that are doing, maybe 50% retrofit to existing solar customers and 50% to new sales. But what I'm continuously hearing is that the VPP take-up is somewhere between 5, 10, maybe 15% of customers who will add a VPP to what they're doing with batteries and solar. Is that the kind of ratio that you're hearing as well and experiencing?
We actually have an uptake of over 60%.
On VPP?
On VPPs, yes.
60%?
So just to say that would be uptake at point of sale, right? And Origin and Amber are both no lock-in VPPs. So people could leave those straight away.
Well, that's what you tell people to do, isn't it, Jess?
Mostly as a if you want to, if you don't end up liking it, because not everyone likes it, Not everyone's into having their power moved around.
Yes, you're right. Not everyone likes it, but it's like going to a restaurant trying a new food. Okay, you can try and then you say, yeah, definitely don't like it. Or you can be skeptical and maybe you actually try and it's the best thing you ever tasted, right? So if you don't try, you don't know. So our approach with customers is very simple. The government is giving you this rebate for VPP compatible batteries because we believe, and the government believes, that VPP is actually a great thing. You can try, no lock-in contract. If you don't like it, after 1 month, that's it.
You got your $400 from Origin. You got your $200 profit day on Amber, whatever it is. You gave it a go. See if you like it. Yeah, totally.
Grab your credits up front.
Okay, I love that. I think that's just a terrific way to help get VPPs rolling out in the marketplace. So let me ask another. I'm sorry, I want to go deep on this, but what retention rate do you get on VPPs then? Do you know how many people end up staying on it?
Look, we don't have visibility on these numbers because once we refer them, then they become Amber customers or Origin customers.
Got it.
But overall, I mean, we did have a few customers that were not happy, but very, very little compared to the amount of customers that are actually happy, and they actually send us the screenshots I was telling you about. So then we pass them to new customers and say, hey, look at this from our previous customer, and that's how customers want to see the proof, and we show them the proof from our existing customers database that tried it before.
The ACCC can hold you responsible for that, though, Dan. So if you put forward a financial case based on something else, then the ACCC can hold you accountable to that.
Oh, well, we don't put any financial case forward, That's the thing.
It's a testimonial, right?
Someone could win Tats Lotto. You should buy a ticket.
It's a testimonial, yeah. It's a testimonial.
Before you speak about VPPs, solar sales itself is a financial case and a payback
True.
case. And you get people who are doing it.
Part of the CEC requirements, right? Have to give someone a financial analysis.
Exactly. So it's no different with the VPP. I don't think he's out there giving financial advice. It's the same as the solar sales
Right.
process. Yeah.
As a solar retailer, we have an obligation to guarantee the production of the system.
Even that's hard now, yeah? As in, if you've got export limits and stuff, that one's really
So hard.
Or if you've got, amber and you've got negative feed-in tariffs and you have to curtail the system, your output estimate goes clean over the shoulder, yeah?
That's where the design and advise up front from expert, makes a whole difference. Because if a customer has an old Solis inverter that cannot be curtailed, and you pair it with an AC Calpo battery, then they complain that you cannot actually you go into negative feed-in tariff, right?
Yeah.
And then it's customer's problem.
Yeah,
but
it sucks.
if you give them the right advice up front and you say no, we're actually removing that because it's not going to be good for you, then it's a different story.
Look, I agree with that 100%, Dan. Get rid of that old gear that doesn't work. But of course, Fronius does work, doesn't it, Jess?
Most of the time. Yeah, well, Fronius can curtail anyway,
Yeah.
whether you have battery or not. So, yeah, definitely. As long as you've got a smart meter was my little asterisk. Dan, do you find that it can be in the darndest places as well? Like, sometimes you'll have a little old lady and you're like, oh, there's this amber thing. I don't know. Don't worry too much about it. Like, think about it if you want or whatever. And then they're obsessed and they're sending you a screenshot like every other week and like, oh my goodness, like, I'm telling my ladies at my bloody weekly bowls club about this. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you'll have, your tech bros who are into trading stocks who go, actually, I just want to hold on to my own power. I just want to have my own stuff taken care of. Like, it's just both sides. You get every extreme.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, there is this tech-minded people that actually, they want to try because then they can actually override the algorithms and, try to sell themselves and develop their own, controlling
Home assist
softwares.
algorithms and yeah.
So for us, it's really try. If you don't like it, you park it. And that's it. What do you have to lose?
$51,000 over 10 years versus that money in the mortgage, Dan. That's what you got to lose on 30 grand.
No, they had it under the mattress, Carl. Don't worry about it.
Oh, of course.
No
Yeah, look,
mortgage.
I've heard that story too. Hey, there's a 911 in the driveway and it's 300 grand, so it don't really hurt. Doesn't matter. And that's fair enough. I think VPPs are great simply for the fact that you can manage to utilise a battery that's otherwise stupidly huge.
Not to mention the benefit to the networks as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I mention something? Because you guys talk about John Grimes leaving and the Smart Energy Council really, being a great advocate over the years, right? What I see as maybe one last try that we can do as industry that ties up into the VPP and also into the other government initiative, which is the 3 hour of free power, right? That's coming from 1st of July, 3 hour of free power. That's a big topic, right? Now, with this 3 hour free power, why don't we we get the battery rebate regulations and we take away the part that says the customers have to have solar with it to claim the rebate? Because we could tap in all these apartment blocks and, everywhere where they cannot have solar, we can install a small battery, 5, 10 kilowatt hours max, where they could recharge during the 3 hour free power, during the day, 3 hour free power, and then they could use it with the VPP.
We're going to need another $5.2 billion.
If I remember correctly as well, it was hard for the regulations. They had to put it through in a very different way to take that line out, because I think it was addressed in the initial announcement.
Yep.
That if it was that easy, they would have loved to do something like that. But it was, instead of adding something onto the existing legislation, it made it completely new legislation, if I remember correctly.
Sounds to me like you need a really good industry organisation to fight for these kinds of important issues.
Daniel Lanzetta for next CEO of Smart Energy Council.
But from Smart Energy Answers to Smart Energy Council, we just changed last...
Match made in heaven.
That's it.
Well, you just put a dash and you put both. So council
Hyphenate,
dash answers.
hyphenate.
You're good. Just on that, just to throw in one figure, the Clean Energy Regulator projects 12 gigawatt hours of capacity from 520,000 home batteries in 2026.
Wow.
That's what the Clean Energy Regulator's projecting. That's
That's
astounding, right?
12 gigawatt hours. That's 12 million kilowatt hours, yeah?
That's a lot.
You know what?
Big number, many zero.
Yep. We're still talking about 2 million by 2030, right?
Wow.
Yeah, we've already got 5 million electric hot water services that store 14 kilowatt hours worth of energy a day. They're already there. And we could save 10 kilowatt hours a day by changing those to a heat pump. And it'd be a hell of a lot cheaper than a battery.
It's not always about price, though, is it? It's not always about economics. It's not always about payback. That's clearly what we're
Very
already
true.
seeing in the market.
Yeah, there's
Yep, very true.
still a cost of living crisis going on there and people borrowing money to... Anyway, it's all good fun.
Look, we've got a friend of Claire's is staying with us this week, and I, bailed her up on the balcony over a beer and
Cornered her.
Of course you did. Nige, how'd you go?
solar, and she said, "Oh, you guys are, my mum needs solar, and she doesn't have that much income, and there's got to be a way." And I said, "There is a way. There is a way for everybody to do this today. If you don't want to own it, and you don't have the cash, and you just don't know anything about the tech, there is a company out there today who can do that for you, right? Someone else will own it, design it, operate it, maintain it, monitor it. You don't have to do anything if you don't want. You'll pay a price for it, and then you go through this spectrum all the way through to, I've got the cash, I don't mind doing it, so I'm going to get a cheaper deal because I'm going to take responsibility for everything, but I've got to now do all the work, right? And every option is out there for someone, no matter what their economic situation is.
Could even use the grid.
100%, Nigel. And Carl, if I can add, to what you mentioned. So when a homeowner installs solar, batteries, EV charger, all the smarts, heat pump and everything all together, right?
Yeah.
And imagine, this household, carbon neutral, no electricity bill, okay?
Yep.
So there is a real estate study from Domain and here in Sydney that basically shows that energy efficient homes with smart technology will, in the same street, they will sell for between 7 to 15% more compared to a house that doesn't have those technologies, in the same street, same specs. Okay, so from a homeowner perspective, I'm investing in my home renovations. I'm transforming my home into a smart home, and I'm going to be energy independent. Eventually, later on, if I sell it, it's capital improvement.
Interesting. When you get a new loan, the bank comes out to your house and does an assessment, and the bank says, I've got no box to tick for solar, I've got no box to tick for battery, I've got no box to tick for your heat pump, I've got a box to tick of how many lineal meters you've got of skirting boards, and have you got a stone bench top in the kitchen. But when you get a real estate agent around to value the place, and he says it's worth $1.4 million like my place, it's not worth it.
Big brag over here.
It's not. Hey, I don't own it, right? I don't own it. The bank still owns it. But hey, it isn't worth $1 more than the house next door. It's not worth $1 more than the house next door.
But that's the house valuation. What the house is actually selling for is
That's
what
right.
house is selling at market value at the moment. And additionally, they're spending the money anyway. They're spending the money in probably less time. The return on investment we know is less than whatever the term of that loan will be. And we've got incentives around that allow for green loans where the rates are really low. Without doing zero interest crap with a massive hike up or whatever, doing a good loan from there's lots of companies out there that are doing it. You're spending the same money anyway in the same time. You may as well put it into your house.
Oh yeah, building your own power station's a great sales pitch. I love that one. As in,
That's it. Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
my energy works out at 27 cents a kilowatt. If I wrap it all together, it works out at 27 cents a kilowatt hour. I can afford that. It's reasonable. And in 10 years' time, I own it. It's nothing. So I like that pitch. It's a good one. Yeah.
As long as you install good quality and you choose a good installer retailer, so the product is not done in 10 years.
That's a very good question.
We're going to have to wrap this up shortly. So I might whip around for last thoughts, if that's okay. Do you want to get that thought out first, Carl?
No, I reckon we covered it. So we covered it. There does need to be a level of quality out there. I think that there's a lot of gear that is not going to make it past 10 years or even 10 years. And ultimately, that's going to be a massive challenge for the industry to kind of save face. And, how do we make good when people get up and run away because they can't afford to replace the battery out of their own pocket? There's no second bite at the cherry for the rebate second time round for faulty gear. So using good gear is absolutely important.
And look, Carl, just to add to your bit, right? What's driving now people to spend the 20,000, 30,000 and so forth and going for the bigger batteries is greed.
Yeah.
People are prepared to spend more because they can grab more upfront from the gun.
Yeah, no doubt. It's great.
That's what's driving everyone.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And measuring contests. All right, so we're going to wrap it up shortly. We'll go around for last thoughts, and we'll start with you, Jess.
Oh, me? I actually have heard myself doing this a couple of times even today, even though this was on my mind. But I feel like when you have a lot of passionate people who largely agree with each other, you can still end up bickering quite a bit over minutia. And, I think at the end of the day, we do largely, I think we've said a lot of things today that probably everyone listening to feels with their entire chest, like it's in their bones. And I think that's really lovely. I really like being able to just say,
when Carl said circuit breakers and everyone just feels
we all got fuzzy. Yeah, for sure. I just think that's really lovely. So I think it's a really nice spot for the industry to be in, and I feel really lucky to be here and where we are, where I get to say, even when I'm like fighting with my friends, I'm so happy about that and about where we are and that we're all on the good train forwards, I guess.
Very good. All right, Nige, last thoughts?
I'm going to dedicate this episode to John Grimes. I think one of the most globally influential people, and to quote him, my whole life is about mission and impact. That's something that we can all aspire to. So here's to you, John.
I saw that Chris Bowen also gave him a big shout out on LinkedIn too. So acknowledging everything that John has achieved. So yes, thank you, John. And last thoughts, Carl?
I'm thinking you should probably go for the big job, Luke. There you go. Heard it here first. Luke Beattie working for the Smart Energy Council as the CEO.
He just got a new job.
As the CEO. There's always room for another new job for Luke.
I'm just going to let that one drop. All right, and Dan Lanzetta from Smart Energy Answers. It's been a great chat. I'm sure it's one we'll continue in the future. Do you have any last comments before we wrap up?
It's been a lot of fun, Luke. Thanks everyone for having me here today. I wish everyone a very successful 2 months up until the end of April, and finish this race with the first rebate drop in the most honourable way.
Here. Good stuff.
Here. Great to have you, Dan.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you, Carl.
Thanks again to our sponsor, Goodwe. Really appreciate their support. And if you're listening to this via one of the audio platforms, Spotify, Apple, one of those ones, do me a favour, grab your device, open up YouTube, find our page on YouTube and click follow or subscribe, because we're just trying to help the algorithms to help us get out in front of a few more people. So that'll be really helpful. And take care. We'll catch you next time.
G'day, it's Alex Carey here. The new Goodwe ESA home battery is here, and it's a game changer with leading performance and safety features. The Goodwe ESA series is available now. Visit goodwe.com.au for more information.